Yeah, I'm going to be honest here. Lamar Jackson isn't going to make a Super Bowl. I want him to, but he won't.
I don't know why we're talking about Lamar. He wasn't great on Sunday, but man, if he wasn't the top problem.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to FanBuzz Weekly. I'm your host, Patrick, with my co-host, Will. We're breaking down the biggest stories and hottest takes in sports. Obviously, the NFL playoffs are coming to an end. We finally have our final two teams. Before we get into any of that stuff, though, I wanted to let you guys know we have a huge giveaway coming up. So stay tuned for that next week to learn more about how to enter. You're not going to want to miss that. Now, Will, we got to get into it. Obviously, we know our two Super Bowl teams, the Chiefs and 49ers, a rematch from that 2020 matchup. There's a lot of storylines that we can address, but I think the biggest one is talking about Patrick Mahomes. The guy just continues to do it. He finds ways to win in the playoffs. I'm not sure that anyone has ever done what he's doing, except maybe Tom Brady. So I wanted to ask, and we're going to get into it, where does Mahomes stack up against Tom Brady in the all-time conversation?
You asked the wrong New England Patriots fan this question. I've got way too much data to support that Mahomes is not only nowhere near Tom, he's never getting anywhere near Tom. First of all, I don't want to discredit anything he's done. What he's done so far through about 6 years of being a starter is just remarkable. I have him fifth all time. And the fact that he's fifth all time after just 6 seasons in and of itself is outrageous. But talking about him next to Tom Brady is nuts. First of all, Tom handled Mahomes head-to-head in the postseason when Tom was in his 40s, twice. I mean, that was it. That was the inflection point for their legacies. But if you just want to look at what they've done, obviously Tom got Bill Belichick to start his career, but that helps you win. That doesn't help you accumulate stats. Bill's a defensive guy. And Tom didn't have anyone like Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill, so throw away this first 6 years stats comparison, not to mention the fact that was a totally different era. When you look at era-adjusted numbers like DVOA, Tom destroys Patrick. And Patrick, frankly, has been coddled. He has 4 roughing the passer calls these playoffs. Tom had 5 in his last 31 postseason games. It's just ridiculous. And Mahomes doesn't have a Peyton Manning to slow him down. Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are not that. Lastly, I just want to say that Mahomes in the postseason, he is the all-time leader with 68.7% of his postseason yards coming after the catch. Donovan McNabb is second at around 60%, and the next 2 guys on the list are notorious bus drivers, Jimmy G and Alex Smith. Tom Brady, nowhere to be found. And it's just silly when you talk about how the two are perceived. We're talking about Tom losing Super Bowl MVP with 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a passer rating of 110. He lost that MVP to Deion Branch when Mahomes threw for 2 picks and a rating of 78 and 1 MVP over 2 teammates who had 100 yards each. It's just not the same. Mahomes is great. He's going to keep rising. I think he ends up at number 2 all time, but he's nowhere close yet, and he's definitely nowhere close to number 1.
Okay, that was a lot, and I have a lot to respond to. First of all, I feel like there's some cherry picking going on with these stats, specifically like the yards after catch in the playoffs, because Mahomes has the best all-time playoff passer rating ever. And the dude is 28 years old. You know where Tom Brady ranks? Number 20, behind names like Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, and the butt-fumbling Mark Sanchez. Also, his 824 win percentage in the playoffs is the best of any quarterback who's made at least 15 postseason starts. This dude, obviously, yes, Tom Brady was incredible in the playoffs, but Mahomes has done it better than Brady through the first 6 seasons. I know you said to throw him out, but I feel like you can't necessarily throw it out because we don't know what the rest of Mahomes' career is going to look like yet. And that's why partly this conversation is tough to have because he still has to play the rest of his career. But I think if you were to compare it to baseball, we can say Mike Trout is one of the best players of all time. We don't need to, have more counting stats. But when it comes to the playoffs, I think Mahomes, he almost has the edge. He just needs to win more Super Bowls, which comes with time. And honestly, do we think that he needs to win 8 rings to eclipse Tom Brady as the GOAT?
Oh, I didn't know if that was rhetorical. Yeah, I think he needs I think he needs like 9 or 10. He lost to Tom twice. I mean, that's a huge mountain to climb. And I know his counting stats or his rate stats in a vacuum, they're better than Tom's, but they were accumulated 20 years later. I mean, when you era adjust stuff, you look at the guys who are ahead of Brady on that passer rating list. Most of them are recent guys. Most of it's recent. Joe Montana's special. Bart Starr is special. But you see like Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen is 7th all time on that list. Makes me feel like it's a list that we shouldn't take too seriously.
Are you trying to knock Mark Sanchez right now?
No, I love Mark Sanchez, but also Alex Smith is 9th on that list, so maybe there is something to this whole yards after catch being a stat inflator thing.
Yeah, I mean, and it was kind of shocking when you look at their first 6 years as a starter. Mahomes has almost 100 more touchdowns when you include the playoffs. He has less interceptions. They're pretty similar in the playoffs. Mahomes 14-3, Brady 12-2. The only thing is Brady has one more Super Bowl, and Mahomes can tie that, if he beats the 49ers. So, like, they're pretty similar. I think you might be onto something, though, about the era in terms of where the game is right now, and what it takes for Mahomes to play at his caliber. But man, when you look at the numbers, I don't know. I feel like they favor Mahomes a lot more than they do Brady.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's incredibly impressive what he's done. He's one of the great talents ever. There's the two things is one thing you touched on is that his career is far from a closed book. And I don't see the way he plays. It's so based on not just knowing football, but being physically dominant. Like, he's a great runner. He has a ridiculous arm. He extends plays. He is not going to have a second peak from age 38 to 45 the way Tom Brady did. I just don't see it happening. So I don't think he'll have the same kind of longevity. I think his postseason record is only a credit to Brady. He's 14-3. He's 0-2 against Tom Brady. He's 14-1 against everyone else. Credit to Joe Burrow. Nice win at Arrowhead. But seriously, it just goes to show how special Brady was, that he's the only one who could slow down Patrick Mahomes consistently. Also, I do want to say one thing about that AFC Championship game. We're having this discussion at the wrong time. It's one thing to be a prisoner of the moment when the moment truly was remarkable, but the Chiefs just became the first team since 2004 to win a conference championship game without scoring more than 17 points. They got shut out in the second half. When Tom Brady did that in an AFC Championship game, he A, lost, and B, got clowned for it until he won his next Super Bowl. I'm not blaming Mahomes for the Ravens offense, kind of not showing up. Obviously, that's out of his control, but I think this is the wrong moment to be heaping praise on Patrick Mahomes. Let's see if he rips up the Niners. Then we can maybe talk a little bit more.
No, I think there's something to be said about not being able to beat Brady. Also, the fact that Brady had that late career peak, like, has anyone ever done that? Like, win a Super Bowl in your 40s is absurd, and play it, the level that he did. I just can't even fathom it. But when you do look at Mahomes' total playoff games, I saw this on Twitter, actually. He has 17 playoff games. And if you look at this as a full season, it's pretty much an MVP type season. I think it was 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 4,800 yards. It's pretty much like another MVP season, but in the playoffs. And the fact that he's done that against the best teams on the biggest stage, yes, most of which has came at home in a tough stadium to play in, it is still mind-boggling. And to do it so early in your career before, the quote-unquote prime, like, has he just been in his prime since entering the league, I guess? Or is he going to get better?
I think he has gotten better in a way. He made a lot of mistakes his rookie year that he got away with. And like I said, part of the thing with being, successful earlier than you should, that's kind of your best window in a way because you're on your rookie contract. We've already seen him lose Tyreek Hill. Things aren't going to get easier. But no, it's just remarkable what Mahomes has done so fast. Although I think there is something to be said for his prime being early because of how much of his greatness is physically based. When he loses that laser arm, and you can't throw like this for 20 years. You can't take the hits he takes for 20 years. When he's forced to be a pocket passer, can he? I'm not saying he can't, but he would have to change his game a lot. And Tom Brady's game was kind of always more about knowing than being physically dominant. I'm not going to tell you Tom Brady's physically dominant, but to answer your question on if anyone has ever had a late peak like him, Tom Brady, he has 23,055 yards after the age of 40. Really good number. That's his career total. I'm trying to find the number, but that is a significant chunk of his career total yardage. His second place on that list of passing yardage after the age of 40, behind Tom Brady's 23,000, is Vinny Testaverde with 3,000. It's completely unprecedented. And it sounds like just a participation trophy, just rewarding him for continuing to be on the field. But when no one else has done it, it's pretty special to me. He played 82 games after the age of 40, and no one else has played more than 24 as a quarterback. So that's just pretty outrageous to me.
Mahomes is going to have to get on the TB12 workout and nutrition regimen if he wants to get to that status. I do have one question here before we sort of put this debate to bed. Does losing to someone like Brock Purdy, right, Mr. Irrelevant in a Super Bowl, does that actually hurt his GOAT resume?
I mean, I'm not going to tell you it helps compared to winning, but I mean, listen, Tom Brady's Super Bowl losses are to Eli Manning, and Nick Foles. I don't think I don't think it's most important who you lost to. I think it's most important who you beat. Because everyone loses at some point, except for Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw, I guess. But that's a whole different era. And I don't need that crowd coming down and saying, it's neither of these guys, it's Joe Montana. But no, I don't think it matters that it's Brock. This is a great Niners team. Mahomes doesn't face Brock. He faces a Niners defense that's really, really solid. And just as Tom Brady in 2020 went through Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Mahomes went through Lamar Jackson, Tua Tagovailoa, and Josh Allen. Like, it's more about who you got through than who you didn't, because it's not Brock Purdy who's locking down Travis Kelce or coming off the edge. It's it's Nick Bosa and it's Fred Warner. So I don't think it really matters that it's Brock, but obviously losing missing the chance to win his third Super Bowl so early would be a big missed chance for his legacy.
Well, I think if Brady beating Mahomes twice matters, then we have to consider Eli Manning beating Brady twice. Is that's the GOAT? We got to the end of the line here. He is the GOAT. Eli's
getting into the Hall of Fame off of those two games. I mean, this is football. A couple of games really, really do make a career for you. I mean, I've been joking that the biggest issue for Mahomes is that he hasn't had the opportunity to lose to Eli Manning. I mean, Brady did it, Rodgers did it, Favre did it. All the greats have lost to Eli Manning, and Patrick Mahomes is never going to have that opportunity. But jokes aside, I don't think it's a stain if Mahomes loses to Brock. It's only a stain if he doesn't play well, which he didn't last time out against the Niners. Win or lose, I'd like to see him make a bigger statement against this defense than he did last time out.
Right. I think they had to put up all their points in the fourth quarter, actually, in that game. It took a heck of a comeback. Not necessarily a Brady comeback against the Falcons, but I think that's going to do it for us today. Let us know in the comments, who is y'all's GOAT? Is it Brady, Mahomes? Is it Eli Manning? Is it someone else? If you like the show, make sure to please subscribe, hit the notification bell for new episodes. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to check out our newsletter. The link is also in the description. And we will see you guys next week. And then soon we'll be able to figure out who the real GOAT is once we get our Super Bowl. But until then, we'll see you guys later.
Brock Purdy's an absolute fraud. It drives me insane that he got compared to Joe Montana after one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen in a playoff game.